Welcome again to the video discussions. This week it's going to be about resistance and resilience, um, untying the knots, right? And so the focus of this video discussion is going to be on the content and stuff that were shared here, and also your perspective um, regarding this stuff. And so what I want you to do first is kind of like go back to the strength of storytelling like we shared before. And we can see the power in the stories of resistance that were shared this week, whether it was like through Hatui or the Pueblo Revolt, or even the more modern works that we also read from people like Jimmy Santiago Baca and Tony Mares. Um, and so I want you to go there again. I know we talked about it like a few weeks ago with the connection to the ancestors or antepasados, but this is a big part of it too. And so whenever we think about that progression from uh, um, the ancient times, if you will, to like a more modern context, we still see this as something that's important, and we still talk about the Pueblo Revolt today, which is amazing to me. So what I want you to do is I want you to visualize this. I always see the Yucca cord like we talked about, like I talked about in the lecture video. And whenever I visualize it, I always see the knots waiting to be untied. And so that's why when I wrote the piece untying knots, that was like an important part of like my visualization of like what the Pueblo Revolt was, right? And how important it is even to our history today. And even in like literary context too, right? And so I see the power that it holds, and not only like because of the stories, but also because of the actual strength of a yucca cord. Like they're crazy strong, right? Like you can hold and tug so much on it and it still won't tear or break. Um, and I think it's important to see how that power is still held today, right? And it still lives today, even in our generation, right? And even in the modern context. And so I have a few questions for you with that I'd like for you to respond to. So one, my question to you this week starts with, how do you see that power? How do you see the power of the Yucca Cord? How do you see the power of this story? How do you see the power that is part of that example of resistance, right? Um, the other thing I want you to consider is, what visions do you see when you think of these forms of resistance? Like, what comes to your head? I told you, like, the Yucca cord always comes to mind, but what is something that comes to your head? And it doesn't have to be connected totally to this, but what are those things that you see whenever you think of resistance? And then how do you still see, read, hear, experience this power around you today? Like, how does that happen? Thank you. So let me know, share this stuff. Sorry about the thing. But yeah. So I want you to respond to this and then respond to someone else. So make sure when you're doing this, when you're doing response, that you do yours and then you add to somebody else's, or respond or reply to somebody else's. And it could be a video, or I'm also letting you do a text-based response to. Uh, Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I look forward to watching your videos and seeing your interactions. Bueno, bye.